and welcome back to the New York Jets franchise rebuild. Here today will be the second off-season, an off-season that I am very excited to do. We have a lot of questions that we have to answer today, and of course, looking up and down at this roster, I've talked about this before, we have to get some more talent on this roster, and that's really the objective of today. Of course, answering the question of is Zach Wilson our franchise quarterback, getting some more young pieces for this defense, and providing more offensive weapons for our young quarterback. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get right into it, and we're going to start off by seeing who wins the Super Bowl. So, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Chicago Bears 24-17, and you guys get to see all the awards. Chiefs just won their 4th Super Bowl. Nick Bolton MVP, and as you guys can see, the Chiefs have won now back-to-back Super Bowls in this franchise. So they are the team to beat. It makes sense. Let's go see if I can find a box score. So schedule, playoff. So let's see. It looks like it was just a dominant performance by Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields. So the feel-good story of the 7th seed just did not happen. The number 1 seed prevailed. They had a good day running. Okay day passing, I would say. And then Nick, he had the interception. Did he have any other plays? Had 1 deflection, no forced fumbles. Okay, I mean, overall looks like a fun Super Bowl. Close game. Defense had 3 sacks, but the Chiefs are this team to beat right now. But let's go focus on the New York Jets, and the first thing that we really need to do is fire our offensive coordinator. I'm done with Zach Parker. I don't think Zach Parker really did do a good job for us, and I think we need to fire him and bring in a new offensive coordinator, which will help, what's his name? Zach Wilson wanting to stay. Now, I see, Brian Flores, Kyle Shanahan, we're not bringing either of these guys in. But let's see. I mean, I don't even know if any of these really make any sense to bring in terms of in terms of coordinators. Like, I don't know what helps, what doesn't help, that they bring over their playbooks and stuff. But Brian Rice, let's bring him in. He has a couple trees done. Actually, no, let's not bring in Rice. I want to bring in someone who might not have anything on him. Zach Parker, we just fired him. I was just about to hire the guy I just fired. Let's bring this guy in. Sure. Let me do some of those staff points. We have a lot of staff points, so let's do some help out personnel and stuff. I usually focus on personnel first, and then I go with the other ones. And so I'll show you guys what I do at the end. So what I decided to do is, because I'm expecting myself to make some trades during today's episode, we finished out this side of the tree for the player personnel. I did one thing to help out the practice of defensive line, and I don't think I did really anything with the offensive coordinator. And then I started just working on this tree here with player growth. Not too much, but now we have 2 points, and I'll keep you guys updated with that. But overall, that points are done. This is something that I think EA needs to work on and really gives the user more to do. I think it's easy to get staff points and fill this stuff out. Now, I talked about this in week 18 of what kind of my initial plan is. And I'm going to kind of just go through a very basic breakdown of it right here, and then we'll go execute it. So I'm going to stick with Zach Wilson as our starting quarterback. Wilson's 24 years old, going into his third year. You still have to think his ratings can help him progressively grow. The only thing that I'm going to do at quarterback is bring in a veteran, better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, better than Tyler Huntley, just for insurance. For the rest of the offense, I think I'm going to try to bring in a player that can match Elijah Moore's abilities, someone who can really play his duo, you know, the Batman to his Robin and stuff like that, you know, to really help out this team. Between Denzel Mims and Sean Samuel, I think these guys are good receivers, but I think we just need more. And then I think we need to find a good, solid offensive lineman in free agency to help this team out. We have 5 young guys that can produce, but they're still young and they're developing, and we saw it last year. We were in the divisional race and in the wild card race. You know, this team needs some more talent to get over the edge. And then I talked about this for the defense. I think we need to get younger. And by doing that, we're going to make some trades. There's 3 players I want to move off of and try to trade to bring in some better talent to come to this roster. And overall, I even look at the players I want to draft, how I'm going to be drafting. My first 4 picks are going to be defensive players. I'm going to let you guys know that right now. But we have to go through the re-signing phase, and we'll take one phase at a time. So let's go do that. But that's the general gist of what I'm going to end up doing today. Looking at retirements, we see Kyle Rudolph, Antonio Brown, they both retired. Von Miller retired. Both Prince. We actually had 3 role players retire from this team. So here are all the retirements. A couple big names, not a lot of few names. AJ Green retired. A good amount of players did retire this time around, and you know, let's see if they're, and Pete Carroll retired as well. So we do have some retirements. Nothing really affecting our team besides 3 players we brought in, but you know, around the league there's definitely some changes that will be happening. But let's go through negotiations here. And to start off with, let's start off with Marcus Mays here. Now, Marcus now wants a 2-year, $14 million contract. A contract that, you know, I look at right now and I say, I might be willing to do, even with this regression here. Some to his zone coverage, none to his awareness though. But I think it's time to move off of Marcus. And I'm just going to offer him this 1-year, $7 million contract. Because I think we're going to franchise tag him. I was planning on tagging him anyways. And the reason I'm going to do this is I'm either going to move off of him and trade him, or we're going to keep him for another season. But for right now, I think franchising tagging him is the best move for us. And when I look at the rest of the players on this list here, you know, I would like to bring back Robert Gordon, but I'm not going to give him this 4-year, $13 million contract. I'll talk to him in free agency. Devin McKnight, another player I wouldn't want to bring back, but I'm not going to do that now. For the rest of these guys, I think we can really kind of just let them go. So some of them might come back on 1-year contracts, but this is the only thing that I wanted to do during this stage here. So Marcus might be a tag and trade, or we might just end up keeping him just for another season. And I don't mind paying him 1 year, $14 million. I don't mind doing that. We have a ton of money, so that's okay with me. Entering into free agency, we have $69 million in cap. That's nice. And let's go see the free agent pool. Well, Tyreek Hill is out there, Kareem Hunt's out there, Smith is out there, Marquise Brown, Tom Brady, Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard. There's a lot of big name and a lot of good players out here that we should target. And there's a few names that I already see that I kind of want to target, but there is a move that I want to make beforehand because I want to trade up in the first round. We have right now the 12th overall pick, and I want to move up. So, and I don't like to trade players during the draft, so I'm going to do that now. And the team I'm going to try to trade up with is the Philadelphia Eagles, trying to move up from 12 to 5. I'm going to see if this works. CJ Mosley and Carl Lawson for the 5th overall draft pick. This is going to take money off of us as well as providing us with the 5th overall draft pick. So let's see if this works. And the deal is done. We have officially moved up in the draft to get to now from 12 to 5, moving off of 2 players I already wanted to move off of. And, you know, now we have more money and we have now the draft pick that I want. But because of the fact that Madden does not have you can only use 3 slots to trade, I am going to make another trade with Philly because I think they deserve it. And just to make it more realistic. And the second part of this trade will be another 3rd round draft pick, Jeff Smith, the wide receiver, and we get back a 4th and a 7th round pick. I think that's a little bit more fair. We are trading up a lot, and you know they're getting 2 vets. They're getting pretty much 3 players, and a draft pick as well. So I think that's a little bit more realistic. Unfortunately, I can't, do 6 or 5 slots to make a trade. So I think it's more realistic. So now we're technically trading back in the 3rd round, and this is all okay with me. So I like this move. This is exactly how I wanted to start so far this episode. And the other trade that I wanted to do is send Marcus Mays for Justin Trent, a 2nd-year pass rusher who I really liked. And, to me, this is a fair move. Trent's a backup on this defense, and they're now getting their starting safety, a top 16 safety, and we're getting a young defensive end. So let's go take a look at Trent. Trent was the other player that I wanted to trade for. And overall, I'm bringing him in for mostly the insurance policy. But Justin here, he's 23 years old, he's 77 overall, good power moves, solid strength. He still needs a lot of work, and he's a good project for this team. But he's a young pass rusher that I think we ultimately need. We saw this last year. We lost a lot of our defensive ends throughout the season, and moving off of Carl Lawson, we needed someone to come in here and play for this defensive line. So Justin is definitely a player that I wanted to get. I'm happy that trade worked, but now we got to figure out safety, linebacker, and a lot of that's going to be through the draft. So I'm going to go through free agency, find any players that I want to make any signings for, and some of them I'll show you, some of them I won't. So the first player that I'm going to go target is Jack Conklin here. 29 years old, right tackle, 82 overall. You're not going to find players like him out in free agency too often. And honestly, I think we need a better tackle than more of a guard and center. So Jack here, I am going to raise up the contract a little bit, make it 3 years, closer to, let's bump this up to 3 years, 20, let's make it 20, closer to 30. 3 years, $30 million. Trying to bring in Jack Conklin in here. Trying to get to that number 1 spot. We are. I think this is a fair contract, and bringing him in will definitely more solidify this offensive line, because right now, if we brought in Jack, we would have Jack, Doug Thomas, we would probably start Josh Myers with Van Tucker and Mekhi Becton. I would be happy with those 5 offensive linemen as my starters. So that's the first move we're going to make in free agency. And the other move that I want to show you guys will be wide receiver. Now I'm going to go look through probably from Slayton up and see if there's anyone that I really want to bring in. Tyreek Hill is definitely intriguing because he has no one offering him right now. So, you know what? Maybe we do try to bring Tyreek Hill in here, He's an X factor. He's one of the fastest players in this league. And coming in here, he would definitely be a big splash. And because of the fact that, and 5 years, see, the question is, do I really want to pay him by $23 million a year? I don't know if I really want to do that. We're not in a spot right now that I think Tyreek Hill can come in here and win. I think he would want to go somewhere more likely to win. So a player that I actually really like in this situation is Brandon Cooks. He's 29 years old. He's a deep threat. He has still very good speed, good route running. I think he could be that opposite receiver to Elijah Moore and be that guy next to him. And I think that's a fair offer. 4 years, $62 million. I don't mind giving him that. And him coming in here and being that number 2, or even just kind of being the number 1, we would have 2 guys for the next few years to really help out Zach Wilson. The other contract that I'm going to be giving out for a veteran quarterback is Daniel Jones. A 1-year, $13 million deal is something that I think is fair. Out of all the quarterbacks here, he has some of the better throw power, good deep accuracy. He reminds me of Zach Wilson in terms of his ratings. Now, I think Wilson is a better projected quarterback long term, but I think what Daniel can do, which is what I want, is put a little fire under Zach Wilson and make us also question if Zach Wilson's our guy. Wilson still has, really this is his make or break year. And if he doesn't perform well, hey, we have a quarterback in Daniel Jones who's just as athletic as him, who's also just as turnover prone, but we have 2 guys that can show their potential. So out of all the guys out here, sure, we could bring in Tom Brady. I'm not going to do that. Jameis Winston, he wants a big 3-year contract. I'm not going to do that. Tyler Heinicke somehow is a superstar in this franchise. The only other one would be Jimmy Garoppolo. But I look at Garoppolo and all of his ratings. He really just kind of reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I wanted an upgrade over Fitzpatrick. And I think Daniel does that for the backup quarterback spot. So, and after looking around free agency and trying to find any sort of depth players besides players that I pointed out to you guys, I'm trying to bring in Tariq Cohen, Solomon Thomas, Rashad Hand, Bradley Roby. I talked about Daniel Jones, Carl Joseph, and a bunch of other players, trying to bring back Robert Gordon and Devin McKnight. We still have $31 million in cap space. Now, some of that has to go to the draft picks, but overall, these are probably the last bit of players we'll try to bring in, and a lot of them are going to be depth players. And I didn't really talk about this, but we need quality depth, and I think bringing in these players will help. But hopefully we get Brandon Cooks, Jack Conley, and Daniel Jones. These are probably the 3 guys I really want to help the offense. So let's go sim to free agency stage 2 and see if we have any new New York Jets players. So as you guys can see at the bottom, we have a lot. So we did get Brandon Cooks, Ryan Conley did not accept, but Jack Conley did, Daniel Jones did. So we have a lot of new players coming to this team. Let's go check out the roster and just see how it looks right now, because we have a lot of new faces here in New York. And Zach Wilson's still our guy, but now we have a number 1 receiver. We have now 2 good veteran running backs to help behind Michael Carter, as well as the offensive line is much more solidified than I think it was beforehand, with Isaiah Wilson starting at tackle. Now, defensively, we still look a little weak. I know we do, but I think once you guys see what we're going to try to do in the draft, it's going to change your perspective a little bit. We still have, though, probably about $35 million in cap space, right around that much. I'm going to see if there's any other players that I want to bring in, just to help out the team some more. And one thing that I will do with you guys is we'll go through the trade block and see if there's just any interesting players out there. So we have Jared Goff. I don't really think we need to bring in a running back. Offensive line. I mean, Xavier wouldn't be a bad tight end too, but I don't think we'll do that. I mean, there's a couple good offensive linemen, but I don't think we'll do anything in that regard. Grover Stewart wouldn't be a bad option, but I don't think trying to give up draft picks right now is what I want to do, and that's what we would have to give up. So nothing in terms of on the trade block that I would want to target. But let's go look around the league and see where some players, and we have $35 million in cap, so there's still a couple moves that we can make. These are the 4 players that did not resign or come to this team just yet. But Smith is going to the Niners. Marquise Brown could go to the Vikings. Pollard to the Bucks. Savage going to the Raiders. Montez Sweat going to Jacksonville. Bobby Wagner, oh man, now we have to play Wagner 2 times a year. John Murphy Bunting going to Pittsburgh. There's a lot of big moves here. Pittsburgh making a couple big signings for their defense. Taylor Rapp going to the Patriots. And now Jameis Winston's the new starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So there's a lot of moves going on in free agency. And, we still have some cap space. So I still want to use it as, Tyreek Hill is not re-signed or signed to a roster just yet. It just baffles me right now. As now we enter into stage 3 of free agency. We actually have a 5th-year option. I think this is part of the new update. There was an update today while I'm recording this. But we did bring in Solomon Thomas, Marvin Jones, a new wide receiver 4 or 5, Greg Little, and Rashad Hand. So let's see the 5th-year option. I think this is something that they just recently added. So Mekhi Becton, absolutely, I want to give a 5th-year option to him. I think this is new to the game. Hopefully it's new, because it's much needed. As well as we do have private workouts and we have an upgrade. Let's first see the upgraded player, and it's to Greg Little here. And to the new backup tackle, we'll go pass protector. But let's go private workouts, and I'm going to show you guys 3 prospects that I really like. To start off with, the first round was definitely a tough round to get information, and there's one player that I really want to focus on, and that's Jonathan Jackson here. Jackson's a player that I can't show you guys his player card, but he looks like a beast, and he's a player from a pass rushing standpoint that I really want to get, and he's a player that honestly I really like. Hopefully we can bring him in here and help out the roster. But Jonathan Jackson here, definitely a player that I want to target. Another player is Will Davis here. A little bit on the opposite side. Now, he's smaller than most linebackers at 5'11", but he's very good in pass coverage, and I want to see if he's, really worth my time targeting. So hopefully we can bring him in here to help out potentially the defense in the mid-second, 3rd round. And then the final player that I want to look at is that we already looked at Derek Anderson, but Bonds here is a player that I really like in the late rounds. I think Jalen Bonds here could become our new starting safety. I really like where what he looked like just with 40%. So I want to see what he can do here. So these will be the 3 players. Like I said, we're focusing on the defense here in the draft. So hopefully we'll get some quality information from those 3 prospects. We're sitting here with $27 million. Tyreek Hill is still out there. Tom Brady's still out there. So there's still 2 big name free agents. I don't think I'm going to make any more moves. There's still a lot of good players out here, a lot of good kickers and punters. But for right now, I don't think we're going to make any more moves here in free agency. Ben Irving is still a player I want to bring in, and Robert Bourne is another player. But I'm not going to change the contracts and try to add more money to them. And, you know, we saw already where a lot of these big free agents went. I guess, you know, the Niners bringing in two of the top tier players, and Cincinnati brought in Marcus Peters. But these are the free agents that were brought in here. But let's go simulate to the next week, stage 4, and see if we get the last 2 players and really kind of make a plan for the draft. As we simulate to stage 4, we do see Robert Borden does come back for this 1-year deal, or that 2-year contract. So that's very good. So now let's go look at the current roster. Let's go see where they are, where we really need to improve in this draft class. We'll generate the best team. Zach Wilson's new starting quarterback, or starting quarterback. Offensively entering into this draft, I really think finding maybe another quality offensive lineman, maybe another wide receiver. I don't really know. A lot of it is going to be on the defense. I think finding another linebacker, finding a safety, finding another defensive lineman is really where I'm going to be focusing on. And overall, there are players in this draft class that I think we can target here. Hopefully we'll be able to bring them in. There is one more move that I do want to make, and I want to show you guys, and that is, I think, changing the scheme. Yeah, and I want to change the offensive playbook here, because even firing the offense coordinator, I don't think it really changes that. I don't know a good playbook. I'm still figuring it out. Let me know down below if there's actually a good playbook for a user to use. For the time being, I guess I will use, let's just use, what's his name? Let's just use the Giants play, or not, that's just, let's Joe Judge's playbook. Why not? I don't know. We'll use their playbook. I don't know if it's any good. Let me know down below. But let's go enter into this draft. Let me show you guys the draft picks that we do have. Let's go to roster. So right now, we hold the 5th overall pick. We have a 2nd, a 3rd, 2 4ths because we traded back, and 2 5s, a 6th, and a 7th. So we do have a lot of picks, and hopefully we'll be able to make some moves. I might trade up during the draft because I don't know how much of these draft picks I'm going to use in the later rounds, but hopefully we'll be able to hit on the players that I want to hit. And yeah, before we enter into the draft, let's just look at the 3 players that I showed you guys that I really like. And let's start with Jalen Bonsier, who's more of a run supporter, safety, which I don't mind. He's 22 years old, good speed, he's a strong player. But hey, he has A hit power, A tackle, A injury, which is really good. I don't know how his zone coverage will be, but hopefully he can come in. He could be this. He looks like a prospect that I would really, really like. And maybe with our 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, he could definitely be a guy that we draft. Let's go look at Will, and Will, they don't give me any more information, but the reason I gave it to him, he's 21 years old, he has solid speed, but he also has good zone coverage. A awareness really intrigues me. You know, he's a player that I might draft if needed, but I really like what Will can provide for a defense. And then let's see, they didn't give me anything more for Jonathan Jackson. I don't know why, but I'll show you guys why I like him. And that's mostly the B finesse moves and the A power moves and the A awareness. He's the only pass rusher that I found throughout this entire draft class that had a B and an A for the 2 pass rushing moves. So I really like Jackson. If we have an opportunity to draft him at 5, which is why we traded up, we're going to draft him. So He's right now the player that I'm looking to draft in the first round. That's a spoiler. But let's go enter into the draft week and start the draft. We get this screen for the draft as the 2023 NFL draft has started. The Colts are first on the clock. I have no idea if it will show me the players. I've honestly never seen this bug. Well, hey, we have no idea who's being drafted right now, so I have no idea who's being picked and who's not. I have no idea this bug. I have no idea who's being drafted right now, so I guess right now we'll pretty much just sit to our pick, make a selection, and hope for the best, pretty much. Right here, right now, if Jackson is there, we're drafting him. I'm gonna keep it a $150, and he is there. So let's go take Jonathan Jackson here, being the new edge rusher for our defense, 21 years old, out of Texas. He is now the newest player, and he is hidden development, 81 strength, 81 speed. From an athletic standpoint, he looks very, very good, but that hidden development is huge for this team. There you go. Now it works. Man, Madden, the heck is wrong with you? So let's just go through the first round. I don't see myself trading up in the first round to try to get any other players, but I think for right now, pretty much my game plan is maybe a trade up in the third round or a trade up in the late second round, because there are players that I do like but are more projected in the later rounds to go get. Nick Irons, he was one of those players I did like in the first round, but I don't think drafting the defensive tackle was the move we needed to make, as the Chargers just got another quarterback, and same with the Lions. EA needs to fix that draft logic. You know, there should be draft classes where there's not a lot of good quarterbacks like in this up-and-coming draft, and there should be draft classes where, you know what, there are quarterbacks that should go in the first round. I think they need to really readjust the development system and the regression system in Madden, because, you know, it's only until you hit 30 you start getting worse. That's just not realistic enough. Players get worse over time. I think there should be scenarios that you draft a young player and they don't work out. You know, make it more difficult, and that's really what I want to see. But besides me ranting about what Madden should do, let's focus on the draft, as we're getting into the second round here. And of course, the main question is, who do we draft here in the second round? And Jalen Bonds is definitely a player that should be considered here, I think. But there are a few other prospects that I do like. I did see a lot of players that I did like go beforehand. The Giants, who did they take? James Conwell. Was he a player I wrote down? I don't think so. But we are now officially on the clock. And yeah. We are on the clock. Let's go see who should we consider drafting here. Let's go this spot. So both Jalen Bonds, Derek Anderson are here. Bonds would be a player that I would consider drafting. There wasn't any corners that I really liked. Now Will Davis is there. He would be a player that I would consider at this spot. So after looking around all the prospects, I think it's pretty simple here. I think we have the most information on Jalen, and I know it's early. I know it's, you know, he's a projected third, fourth round draft pick, but hey, he's a good player. He's a player that I think we need a safety. We need a young safety, and I think 22 years old, run stopping, something that we need to focus on as well, because we struggled against the run at the end of the season. So Jalen Bonds will be the draft pick here in the second round. Normal dev, but 90 speed. The development trait definitely hurts. It's probably the reason he was a late second round or a third round, fourth round draft pick, or I don't remember exactly. But Jalen is the pick. I don't really mind drafting him. It might be a little bit of a reach, but we'll see. I don't know his ratings just yet. But we will continue going through this draft until I kind of think about who else do I want to draft. And there is still 2 players' names that I'm thinking about, at least in this potential round. I don't know just yet. But let's get to our draft pick and see. Now, here's Will Davis going to the Bills. Maybe should have drafted Will. I don't know just yet. We'll check out his ratings. But there's another linebacker that I do like, which I would be willing to draft in the third round. Kyle Kirkpatrick. He's another player that I did like. Same with Daniel Steele. I did take a heavy look at the linebackers because we ultimately need to consider linebacker as something that to hit on. So. But there's still a player out there that I do like a lot more than a lot of the others, so hopefully we'll be able to get him. As we're entering close to our third round draft pick, Brandon Light here, he was the quarterback out of all the quarterbacks, because I did take a little bit of a look at them. Light was the only guy that I actually liked, but did not get him. And the Atlanta Falcons drafted Max Crawford. Max Crawford was a player that I did not show you guys, but he was a player that I really liked. And unfortunate, he goes, 5 picks before us? That's a stinger right there. And that's a third round pick we did not give up. We kept up our later third round draft pick. So I don't want to hear it down below, but man, maybe we should have decided to trade up. Now, who do we draft here in the third round? Because he was going to be my third round pick. Thankfully, we do have an insurance plan. Braxton Winton here. 5'11". He reminded me a lot of Will, but Braxton here, he's 23 years old. He's 2 years older, but he also has coverage skills from how I look at it. It doesn't show me the zone, but he has B-man coverage. I assume he's a zone cover corner or a cover linebacker. So Braxton will be our third round draft pick. Normal dev, 82 speed. Hopefully the insurance policy is near as good as the player that I wanted to draft. Moving up to the fourth round of the draft, let's go take a look at right around these players because a lot of the players that I really highlighted have been drafted. So I'm going to look at my favorites. We still have 18 players on the board. Who else should we consider here? Here in the fourth round. Let's see if there's any players that are highly projected. There isn't. But let's go look at the top tier players, because sometimes I just kind of miss out on players. Now, Nick. Why is Nick falling? We did do this last year. I don't remember who we drafted, but there was a player that was falling in the later round that I decided to just take a chance on in the fifth round. But Nick Weiss here. Does it make sense to draft a wide receiver that has D medium route running? It looks... I don't know if Nick is really the right player, and plus he's not a fast receiver either, so... And he's not big enough to move to tight end. I mean, he's only 6'2". Maybe Nick is not the right player. Let's look at our favorites and see if there's any player that I really would just consider just taking a chance on. Let's go with Alex here in the fourth round. Alex Morse, he's 23 years old, A, blocking, B, run blocking. What more do I need to say? You know, for a fourth round center, maybe he will be very good. So we'll draft him here in the fourth round, and he has hidden development. That is huge here in the 4th round to really help our offensive lineup. Now we have another young player that, hey, could start right away or maybe not. I don't know just yet. 23 years old though, might need some playing time. We do have another 4th round pick that I'm going to just sim to, because I might take a chance on Nick if he falls in the 5th round. But let's go see if there's any other players in my favorites that I would really consider taking here. The other player I was considering was James Evans, but I decided not to pull the trigger on him. I would still consider drafting him, but I don't think right now we should. I think if we're going to draft Evans, it would be a later round draft pick. But let's go through some of these players. I'm just going to look at them again just because I don't remember every one. Just to see if there's any players that, hey, we should just take a chance on. But the other 4th round pick, instead of going with, the projected 1st, 2nd round pick, we're going to go with Miles Ogletree here. He's 21 years old, 6'3". He's a player that I think is much more of a project, but hopefully he can come in here and help the team out. And he comes in here with 86 speed though. He's an okay athlete. Change of direction is not that good. But, we'll see if this was a right draft pick here in the 4th round. So back-to-back offensive players, as I didn't expect myself to be doing that already. We still have 4 more draft picks to make as the board does continue to slim. As we enter into the 5th round, we have actually back-to-back draft picks, so maybe we should figure out who we want to draft here. Now, Nick is still out there on the board. Would I draft Nick? Maybe in the 6th round. We'll continue just kind of pushing him back. But I kind of want to put a player, but there are a few players that are UDFAs that I might take chances on here in the 5th round. I don't know just yet. But with our first 5th round draft pick, let's go with Isaiah Hurts here. He's a running back. I just want to continue to kind of get some quality depth here. He's going to have a 4-year contract. We'll work on him. He has some good break tackle skills. He has 88 speed, not terrible, 81 strength. He's much more a power runner, it looks like. So hopefully Isaiah Hurts can come in here and hurt some defenses. As we are still on the clock. And what should we do with this draft pick? As we have a late 6th round pick. And with our other 5th round pick, we're going to go with Carlos Calmet here. He's much more of a pass rusher, and hopefully he can come in here and be quality depth. We need to find quality depth for this team. And, athletically, he's solid. I don't know if he can play on the defensive line per se, but hey, he's 6'5", 23 years old. Who knows how good he will be. As entering into the 6th round here, and the wide receiver is gone, thankfully. But there is another wide receiver if he's still on the board, and he is Chad Jackson here. He's a guy that I really like, and I think getting more quality depth here on wide receiver is something that we should also consider doing. To Chad, he will be the draft pick here in the 6th round, not even going to think about it. Jackson, 88 speed, he's 21 years old too. He's better of an athlete than the receiver we drafted in the 4th round. So hopefully he can come in here and help out the roster. As we have one more draft pick to make, maybe we will look at the board once we get there and see if there's any UDFA, or I'll look at the top tier talent. But I don't know just yet who we'll draft here in the 7th round. I'm probably not going to take too much time to think about it. We have 4 players on the board, all defensive linemen. And from what I remember from all these guys, Will here is probably the best player in terms of pass rushing moves potential. So let's go with Will. His B power, or B finesse, C power moves. And let's just bring in more quality depth here in the 7th round. He has 80 speed, 76 strength. Not bad, not bad. Overall, we had to change course in the 3rd round. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. But hey, we got 2 players that I really liked, and we were able to get quality depth, and hopefully that 4th round center can really help the team out. So let's go look at the draft recap and see any sort of overalls. So Jonathan Jackson here, 74 overall. He is definitely much more a power rusher. Really like his skill set. Oh man, he looks really good coming out. And I really like this pick from Jonathan. My goodness. Jalen Bond, 76 overall. So that development trade, who cares? He's a very good starting safety. And that zone coverage is 73. Not bad. And he's going to be expected to start right away. I'm not even going to throw anyone else out there. Braxton Quinton here. Maybe a little bit of a reach. Looks like a big reach, honestly. He doesn't have good zone coverage. Not even his man coverage is good either. And he's much more of a run stopper. So maybe a little bit of a bust there in the 4th or the 3rd round. But Alex Morse here, 75 overall. Holy crap, we just hit a home run draft pick with Alex here. And we just found our new starting center. Immediately, we got a guy who now we have a complete offensive line with all development traits. This is huge for this team. Now, Miles Ogletree, 60 overall. Might have overlooked some things for him. Who knows what he could do for this team. I don't know if that was the right draft pick. Isaiah Hurts here. Like I said, much more of a power runner. I actually really like his skill set too. He could be a good running back, but that injury rating definitely concerns me. Carlos Comet, he's more of a finesse power rusher. Like that. 76, not too bad. And then Chad Jackson here, definitely a better receiver, better physical receiver. Definitely like his ratings, but that injury rating definitely is a concern. And then for Will, more pass rushing depth, like him, but yet again, that injury rating definitely concerning. Let's go look around the league, as I don't know why this is like that. I have no idea. Madden is just bugging out, I guess. As John Simmons went 1st overall. We didn't see any of these picks, so until Jackson. So the Dolphins have a new quarterback for some reason. They brought in a new pass rusher. The Vikings have a new quarterback, and it looks like John is a very good player. Let's go see overalls. So John, best player, goes 1st overall. Isaiah Bryce goes in the at 7 overall. Now Townsend, LaMarcus Townsend, he was one of my favorite receivers, and he went all the way in the late 1st round. So that's good, but we got a top tier talent. Very happy with that. Still a lot of good players. I'm gonna go try to find the player that I really liked in the 2nd round. I forget, he went in the 3rd round. He went to the Falcons. Max Crawford here, 75 overall, hidden depth. Oh my goodness. He would have solidified our linebacking core. He would have been great. I messed this up. I know the injury rating is awful. Well, not great, but man, he would have been a beast to bring into this defense. Man, that's a miss right there. Brian Light, also hidden depth. He was the only quarterback that I would have drafted, and he looks pretty good too for at least a backup. And definitely could have reconsidered some of the drafting. But let me know down below what you thought of the draft. I know overall wise, we got some new players to come to this team, especially the defense. I think, honestly, from this draft class, we have 3 new starters. Jalen, Jonathan Jackson, and Alex. And then we potentially have some role players. I think we messed it up in the third round, but hey, maybe making it up with a good quality center really helps out. Let's go look around the division and see what other teams did. Let's look at the Patriots first. Got a wide receiver. They got more quality depth than anything. Looking for who else is in this division, I don't remember. My mind goes blank every single time that I think about this. So the Bills got a pass rusher, and they drafted Will. Yeah, this is where they drafted Will. And Will hit in depth, and oh my goodness, this kid could have been an excellent project to make, because you could go in any direction with him. Man, another player I wish I would have prioritized, I guess. But he's a good player too. Now let's check out the Miami Dolphins. I think I went past them like 5 times. Did I? I have no idea. Yeah, here you are. Well, the Dolphins got themselves a lot of quality players here. Big time pass rush, new quarterback. I guess they have a quarterback controversy right now, but they actually got a lot of good players. No one under 65 overall, so then another good draft for them. Oh my goodness. Madden, for some reason, is being very, very buggy right now. Like it always is, I guess, but we are back, thankfully. We lost connection there for a minute. But let's check out the roster and look at it. Well, generate the best lineup. So right now, this is the current roster. With Zach Wilson having a new starting receiver. Brand new looking offensive line, happy about that. Couple new wide receivers. Defensively, I know we missed out on a new prospect for inside linebacker, but hey, got a big time pass rusher, which I'll move around the positional groups. But hey, to me, I think we did very well in free agency and in the draft. I know we didn't hit on every player, but you never do. So I think we did a good job. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to go through all the free agency and make any sort of small moves that I want to make. And I'll show you guys that in the live stream on Tuesday, when will be the first action for games. So Tuesday, March 15th will be the first 3 games, as I see already we play against the New York Giants. But that will be the first games, Tuesday, March 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All live commentary at twitch.tv/Larrbearxd. Let me know down below, though, what you thought about the offseason. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you thought. And I'll see you in the next one.